Take a look at these cheeseburger skillets I meal prepped. They meet all of my standards for the perfect meal prep recipe. They're tasty, reheat well, it's something I look forward to eating, and they're quick to prepare. You should be able to throw this meal together in 30 to 40 minutes, and each dish has about 588 calories. Here is how you make it. The potatoes will take the longest to cook, so to start out, take 3 medium-sized potatoes or 750 grams and cut them into pieces. I decided to go with quarter moons by cutting the pieces in half twice the long way and then turning them 90 degrees and chopping into slices of about 5 millimeters thick. Once you have all those potatoes chopped, transfer them over into a large bowl and drizzle in 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of oil as well as some salt and pepper. Toss the potatoes in the oil until they are well coated. Then you can take a large sheet pan and spray it with a bit more oil to help prevent sticking and spread the potatoes out on the pan. I like to keep this pan in the oven as the oven is preheating so that it's hot when I throw the potatoes onto it. I find that this leads to slightly better browning. Give the pieces as much space between them as possible. If you stack them on top of each other, they will steam instead of brown. Then you can place this tray into a 425 degree Fahrenheit or 217 degrees Celsius oven for 12 minutes. While the potatoes are roasting away in the oven, prep the remainder of your vegetables. Cut 1 small onion or 125 grams into thin slices from root to shoot. I used a red onion because I thought it would provide some nice color variation, but any onion you want to include is going to work just fine. Next, I roughly chopped 1 bunch of kale leaves or 125 grams into small pieces. Now, this isn't a joke. I'm actually putting kale into a recipe on purpose, even though I think it's among the most repulsive, foul little plants on the planet. I think it's important to get some variety in my diet, and it's nutrient dense, so I can suck it up and not be a cry-ass for a meal every once in a while. Shredded cabbage or shaved Brussels sprouts are a less offensive alternative if you don't want to use the kale. One way you can help take some of the bitterness and rough texture out of kale is to massage it. How shitty is it that you have to give kale a massage before you eat it, and then it still doesn't even taste good? Squeeze it in your hands for a couple of minutes and you'll feel it get softer and it will start to develop a deep green color.
Smells like lawn clippings.
For the last of my chopping, I'm going to dice up some pickles to toss onto the top of the final dish. I'm using 2 PICKLE SPEARS or 50 grams worth that will get cut into a medium dice. When you're done with your chopping and the kale rubbed down, your potatoes should be ready for a turn, so pull them out of the oven and toss them around on the pan to get color on the other side. Return these potatoes to the oven and cook for another 8 to 10 minutes or until they have browned to your liking. Next, start on cooking the meat and vegetables. Place a large skillet over medium-high heat and add in 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of oil. Once that oil is hot, place in 2 pounds or 908 grams of 90-10 ground beef. Spread it out in the pan to increase the surface area of beef touching the hot pan, but do not break it up right away. Let it cook for a while first or else the meat will release too much water and you'll end up boiling the meat instead of pan frying it. The browning process occurs because of the Maillard reaction, which happens at temperatures between 280 and 330 degrees Fahrenheit. Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, so if you have a bunch of water in the bottom of your pan, you won't reach a high enough temperature to develop color until that water is gone. After the beef has been cooking for a few minutes and is ready to turn, you can break it up a bit and flip it over to the other side. The browning you are seeing on this side of the meat is what brings the flavor to a different level. Beef is good as it is, even gray beef. But when you get all of that deep browning, it makes beef undeniably flavorful. You don't even need salt and pepper to make it taste good. Let it continue cooking until the beef is about 80 to 90% of the way finished. Then you can push it to the perimeter of the pan and create some space in the center. Let the fat pool in the middle and add the sliced onions in. Lightly sprinkle some salt over the top to help encourage them to cook a bit faster. Give them a minute or 2 over the heat and then stir them around. Next, you can add in the chopped kale and stir everything together as one. Season the pan with 1 tablespoon or 8 grams of garlic powder, stir it in, and allow the kale and onions to continue to cook down. At this point, my potatoes had finished roasting in the oven, so I grabbed the sheet pan and started adding the potatoes into the skillet. These potatoes are acting as the french fries in our cheeseburger skillet. The kale is the lettuce, and the onions and the beef are obviously what they are. Mix everything together and get a bite with each component to taste test. Then you can season with salt and pepper to adjust the flavors. This recipe makes 5 servings, so lay out 5 of your meal prep dishes. Divide the contents of the skillet evenly between each of those containers. If you want it to be distributed perfectly, weigh the contents of the skillet and divide that number by 5. Whatever number you get is how much that goes into each container. Once you've got it all divided, dig out a little corner of each dish and place in a ramekin into the now empty space. Each dish gets 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of ketchup. You don't have to include this while you prep, as it is easy to just drizzle over some ketchup after you reheat it. But if you travel away from home for your lunch, it's nice to have it in there already for you. Next, measure out about 1/2 cup or 50 grams of shredded cheddar cheese and sprinkle over 10 grams to each of the dishes. Then you can finish it off by dividing the diced pickles over the top. Each of these cheeseburger skillets has about 588 calories and 43 grams of protein. Allow them a few minutes to cool down and stop steaming, and then you can lid the containers up and move them into the fridge for the week. When it comes time to reheat, pull a container from the fridge and remove the metal ramekin before you microwave it, otherwise you're going to become an arsonist. I reheat this in the microwave for 90 to 120 seconds and stir it once at some point during that interval. Then when it comes out, I top it with my ketchup. After I ate a couple of these throughout this week, I saw the mayo on the door of the fridge and knew it needed to make an appearance. Obviously, adding some extra fat is going to make things taste even better. Many times when I put potatoes in a meal prep recipe, I'll get asked how I keep them crispy after reheating in the microwave. I don't. That isn't really possible. If you wanted them crispy, I would leave the potatoes separate from the other ingredients and reheat the potatoes on their own in the air fryer. They still taste awesome to me after their trip in the microwave, so I'm okay with them not being crispy. Something about 2023 has altered my brain and I can't be bothered to spend more than an hour in the kitchen anymore, and this recipe is perfect for that. It's quick as long as you're proficient with a knife, and using the air fryer to cook the potatoes would probably save you a couple of minutes as well. The written version of this recipe is on my website, and that is linked in the description below. Meal prep doesn't have to take up your whole day, and this cheeseburger skillet is a great choice for weeks when you just want to get in and out of the kitchen. So the next time you're looking for a meal prep quickie, give this one a go. Bye.